Sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So blessedly, we are studying the life of Sri Sarada Devi, the Holy Mother, as offered to us by Swami Chetanananda, the head of the St. Louis Center, in his book Sri Sarada Devi, Her Divine Play. I'm very happy that Haima made arrangements so that even though she's otherwise busy, she could be with us tonight as the reader. So before we begin, are there any comments or questions from anyone about anything we've read so far? We are, of course, in this section of the book where Mother, various anecdotes are told, of Mother revealing her divinity. So any comments or questions or concerns about what we've been reading? All right, please go ahead, Haima.
Okay, Brother Shankara, thank you. We are on page 597, second paragraph. Nilima Mukhopadhyaya recorded another story of Holy Mother's divinity that she had heard from Bharati Prana. Nilima asked, "What did you think about Holy Mother?" Bharati Prana replied, "I did not experience anything in particular. I lived with her as a child would with its mother. Her love was fathomless. But yes, one day I was taken aback. On that day, unexpectedly, many devotees came to the mother's house for prasad, and we became anxious about how to feed such a crowd. I hurriedly went to the mother and informed her of the situation. She got up and said encouragingly, 'Everything will be all right. Let us go to the kitchen and see.' The mother entered the kitchen and saw the food. She then took a spatula and stirred each container. Amazingly, all the devotees were satisfied with that food. Then it suddenly dawned on me. Well, is Holy Mother then Goddess Annapurna herself? One day, yes.
Let's just stop there.
Sure.
Anyone who knows the Christian Gospels will immediately be reminded of Christ feeding the multitudes. And such a, this was a more modest instance, but, the story as it is related in the book of Matthew is that Christ fed a crowd of 5,000 men plus their families with just a few, all that they had to start with was just a few scraps of bread and a few fish. And all of those people were, as it was said here, were satisfied. Their hunger was satisfied. They all were well fed. The divine being has no difficulty in managing these things. As his mother said encouragingly, as Bharati Prana told the story, Mother said encouragingly, "Everything will be all right." Yes, indeed. So yes, Mother is the goddess Annapurna herself. So go ahead, please.
Okay. One day in Jairampati, Swami Tanmayananda worshipped the mother's feet as she was his guru. Then, when he put her feet on his head, she said, "My foolish child, one should not put another's feet on the head because the master dwells there." "Mother, I have not seen the master," Tanmayananda replied. "The master is God himself." "If the master is God, then who you are? Who else am I? If you wish, you can show me the master." When the master touched Naren, Vivekananda, he was so scared that he cried out. Practice spiritual disciplines and you will see him. What is the need of spiritual disciplines for a person who has a guru like you? Holy Mother explained, yes, that is true. But you see, one might have all kinds of food at home, yet one must cook it and eat the food. He who cooks earlier gets his food earlier too. Some eat in the morning, some in the evening, and yet some starve because they're too lazy or afraid to cook. Swami Maheshwarananda recalled, once at Kolpara Ashrama, a distinguished devotee, Narayana Iyengar, came to bow down to Holy Mother. He had learned that the mother got a burning sensation if someone touched her feet. So he said, if we touch the mother's feet and that causes pain to her, then we should not do it. The mother replied, no, my son, we have come only for that purpose. If we do not absorb and digest others' sins and sufferings, who else will? Who else will bear the burden of the sinners and sufferers? If good souls touch my feet, I don't feel pain. When some people touch my feet, I get a burning sensation. Of course, my son, you may touch my feet when you bow down.
Hmm.
Holy Mother was the embodiment of purity, and she had the power to purify others. One night in Jairambati, her cook said that she had touched a dog and needed to bathe. Holy Mother said, it is rather late in the evening. Don't bathe now. Wash your hands and feet and change your sari. The cook objected. Oh, that won't do. Holy Mother responded, then sprinkle some Ganges water on your body. But even that did not satisfy the cook's fastidious nature. Finally, the mother said, then touch me.
She also said that to, I believe it was Nalini one time. Maybe it was one of the young women who lived with her, who had touched something that made her feel impure. And she was completely distressed about it. She'd done all the other things, and she said, I still feel soiled. And Mother said, well, then touch me.
But even that did not satisfy the cook's fastidious nature. Finally, the mother said, then touch me. One day in Udbodhan house, a woman disciple named Sailabala Chowdhury said to the mother, you are Mahamaya. You have deluded us and made us involved with our father, mother, husband, and children. Immediately, the mother replied, don't say that I have kept people deluded. I feel a terrible pain when I see the sufferings of worldly people. What can I do, my child? They don't want liberation.
You see, there's the answer right there.
Yeah. Another day,
No,
side.
hold on,
Yeah,
just
yeah, sure. You want me to read again?
no.
Okay.
The key words are they don't want liberation. When we truly want liberation, the master, the mother, came for that purpose. So the thing to keep in mind is that it isn't mother who did this to us. The mother created the universe. We are that divine being also. As Swami Sarvapriyananda pointed out, and he raised his own hand when he said this, we must admit we behave the way we do because we like it. Even though we know the truth, the highest truth, and he had just finished a class expounding the highest truth of Advaita. He said, and yet we have not changed. And he said, and as I said, he raised his own hand. We have to admit we continue to live this way because we like it. The mother and Sri Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Brahmananda, all of them said, when you truly want liberation, pray that your worldly entanglements may end and the knots of your heart may be untied. If you are sincere and persistent, you can look to what these holy ones said. You can also look to see what Krishna said. For that matter, what Sri Chaitanya said. For that matter, what Rama said. So it is when we are truly tired of this worldly attachment, this attachment to the world, we then can want liberation. And what the implication is here is that Mother will grant it. Now, before we go on, having said that, which is a rather dramatic promise by the Divine Ones, is there any comment or question from anyone, or anything to offer from your own wisdom, your own experience, that sheds some light on this?
Yes, Brother Shankara.
Yes,
I do.
dear.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we really desire liberation and we pray for that, but at the same time, I mean, it's not possible to shed some of the worldly desires, whether it's for wanting something or not wanting something. Is that still acceptable to the Divine Mother? I mean,
Of course it's acceptable, dear. And you say it's not possible to shed those things, but you didn't say the word yet. It's not possible yet. The mother can make the impossible possible. She can make the possible impossible. So simply pray with a sincere heart for what you truly want, understanding that you will continue to make mistakes, that you will continue to trip over your own shoelaces, so to speak. Does the mother have compassion for that? Of course she does. Does the master have compassion for that? Yes, he says it over and over in the gospel. And Sri Krishna could not be more explicit in the Gita. He says, just practice, just adopt some sort of practice, even if it isn't scripturally authorized, even if it's just some sort of invention, if its purpose is divine knowledge and liberation. Sri Krishna says, and this is such a promise. He says, whatever it is, if it's directed that way and you are sincere, he says, I will get behind it and make it happen. Well, the mother would say the same thing in one way or another. She has said the same thing a number of times. And the master, Sri Ramakrishna, said, all it takes truly is one sincere tear. Weep for God, he says, and God cannot ignore you, will not ignore you. So does that answer it, Swayam?
Yes, Brother Shankara.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? I'm glad Swayam asked that question. We
Yes,
do
I
not
have a
have to
quick.
be perfect. Yes, Aaron.
So like sincerity, is it? I just totally blanked. I totally forgot what I was gonna ask.
Well, let's just talk about sincerity. Sincerity is shown by persistence and patience. If we persist. But anyway, go ahead.
So if we're like, how do we know if we're sincere? I mean, I suppose like I'm sincere if I'm here. I don't really think I need to question it. I would feel like I would know if I wasn't sincere.
Yes, I think you would. And as I just said, sincerity is demonstrated by our actions. If we are persistent in our practice, even though we're not perfect in our practice, of course we're not going to be perfect in our practice.
I liked what Aaron said. If we are sincere, we will know it.
Yes, exactly. I like that too very much. So it's best not to fret about it too much. It's best just to do your practice every day to the best of your ability. And if you mess up or miss a day, as Swami Swahananda said, what's done is done, go forward. Don't even think about it another moment. Just go forward, do the best you can in the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. Be patient and loving with yourself as you would be patient and loving with your best friend or any loved one. Anything else from anyone? These are such good questions. All right, dears.
Okay.
Please go ahead, Haima.
Can I read the paragraph once more, Brother Shankara?
Please do, yes.
Okay. One day in Udbodhan house, a woman disciple named Sailabala Chaudhary said to the mother, "You are Mahamaya. You have deluded us and made us involved with our father, mother, husband, and children." Immediately, the mother replied, "Don't say that I have kept people deluded. I feel a terrible pain when I see the sufferings of worldly people. What can I do, my child? They don't want liberation."
They don't want liberation. If we want liberation, do you think she will not listen? Okay.
Another day, Sailabala asked the mother, You have instructed me in how to repeat the master's mantra, but how should I think of you? She replied, you may think of me as Radha or in any other way that appeals to your mind. It will be enough if you think of me even as your mother. Although Holy Mother's divinity could manifest itself spontaneously, she could also withdraw it quickly. Although she tried to hide her divinity, her devotees now and then realized her real nature. Swami Ritananda reminisced one day in Jairambati when the mother was sweeping the veranda of her old cottage with a broom. A beggar loudly called from outside, Mother, please give me some alms. The mother's soliloquized. Okay, that makes sense. The mother soliloquized, I can't do anymore. I can't finish my work with innumerable arms. Saying so, she stopped and put one hand on her knee. I was seated nearby and eating puffed rice. She looked at me and said with a smile, look, I have only 2 arms, and I say that I have innumerable arms. Smiling, the mother continued her sweeping. Once, not long after Ramakrishna's death, Holy Mother was traveling to Jairambati from Kamarpakur. Shivaram, the master's nephew, was then a young boy. He was traveling with the mother and carrying her bundle. As they neared Jairambati, Shivaram thought of something and stopped. The mother was surprised and asked him to keep up. Shivaram replied, I shall move only if you tell me something. What? Will you tell me who you are? Who else am I? I am your aunt. Then you can go by yourself. You are near your home. I won't go with you. Don't be silly. Who do you think I am? I am a human being, your aunt. Very good. Then why don't you go on by yourself? The sun was about to set. Seeing Shivaram standing still in the meadow, Holy Mother said, people say I am Kali. Are you really Kali? Is it true? Yes, Holy Mother replied.
Read that last again, please.
Sure.
From Shivaram standing alone in the meadow.
Okay, the sun was about to set. Seeing Shivaram standing still in the meadow, Holy Mother said, people say I am Kali. Are you really Kali? Is it true? Yes, Holy Mother replied. Shivaram was pleased and said, let us go then. It was the spring of 1920. Holy Mother was leaving Jairambati for Calcutta. So Shivaram came from Kamarpakur to see her. He arrived at Jairambati around noon and informed the mother that he would stay there that day and return to Kamarpakur the next day. After lunch, the mother told him to rest and go back to Kamarpakur in the afternoon with some fruits to offer to Raghuvir, their family deity. Shivaram replied that he had done the worship for that day. He had even finished the evening worship and put the Lord to bed. Stunned, the mother said, what is this? If Raghuvir and Shaitala are worshipped in this way during your lifetime, then imagine what will happen when your children take charge. Have you not heard how my father-in-law worshipped Raghuvir with great respect and devotion? Shivaram replied, Aunt, it will be fine. It's only a matter of one day. Today I want to stay with you. After saying that, Shivram went to take rest in the parlor with the monks. Meanwhile, Holy Mother made a bundle of fruit and vegetables. She had Brahmachari Barada call Shivram at 4 o'clock. The mother said to him, "Raise Lord Raghuveer from bed and perform the Vesper service and the food offering. Whatever you have done is like giving a noon rest to the deity. Don't worry. When you come to Dakshineshwar, you will see me." Then the mother told Barada, "Carry this bundle and go with Shibu. Go with him up to Amarpur on the other side of the Amodar River and then come back." With tearful eyes, Shivram bowed down to the mother and left with Barada. On the way, he did not say a single word. After arriving at Amarpur, Barada handed over the bundle to Shivram and returned to Jairambati. In the late afternoon, the mother began to cut vegetables for dinner. Barada was seated near her. Suddenly, Shivram came back with the bundle in hand. He prostrated at the Holy Mother's feet and said tearfully, "Mother, tell me what will happen to me. I want to hear it from you." Mother replied, "Shibu, get up. You have nothing to worry about. You have served the Master so much. He loved you dearly. You have no more to fear. You are already free even in this life. Mother, please take all my responsibility for this life and the next." Shivram said, "You told me about your true nature previously. Please confirm that once more now." Holy Mother was trying to console Shivram by caressing his head and chin, but was a little perturbed by his overwhelming emotion. She said calmly and gravely, "Yes, I am that Kali." Shivram then knelt down before her and chanted this salutation mantra: "O consort of Shiva, the most auspicious of all auspicious beings, O doer of all actions, O refuge of all, O three-eyed goddess of golden complexion, O power of Narayana, I salute you again and again." Holy Mother touched his chin with her fingers and kissed them, and then blessed him by touching his head.
This is the way a Bengali woman kisses you. She touches her fingers to your chin and then kisses her fingers. This was a very intimate moment.
Shivram was overwhelmed with joy. He took his bundle and stick and got ready to leave. Again, Holy Mother asked Barada to carry the bundle up to Amarpur. Barada obeyed the mother and followed Shivram. Yet a great commotion was going on in Barada's young mind about Holy Mother's divinity. After leaving Jairambati, Shivram said to Barada, "Brother, the mother is Kali herself. She can change human destiny. One can attain liberation by her grace. Do you understand? Brother, you are blessed. Hold on to her firmly. Hold on to her firmly." Holy Mother was generally reticent to speak about her divinity, but she revealed her true nature to some of her close disciples who were pure, sincere, and devoted to her. At the same time, She was an embodiment of humility and considered herself to be a servant of the master. While giving initiation to her disciples, she would point to the master's picture and say, "He is your guru." During Holy Mother's last illness, an elderly woman devotee was praising her, saying, "Mother, you are Jagadamba, the mother of the universe. You are everything." Holy Mother told her abruptly, "Keep quiet. You are calling me Jagadamba. I am gratified that the Master graciously gave me shelter at his feet. You are Jagadamba, you are such and such. You had better leave this place."
Mm.
Although she did not disturb the sincere faith of anyone, she could not tolerate flattery.
Mm-hmm.
In December 1910, Holy Mother went to Kothar in Orissa to recuperate from an illness. She was accompanied by some monks and devotees. The party stayed at a house that Balaram's family owned. One noon, when everyone else was resting, the mother left her room and sat on a veranda, her legs extended in front of her. Ashu was with her and watched her as she sat deep in thought. Her eyes were wide open, but indrawn. In an abstracted mood, the mother said, "This repeated journey to the earth, is there no escape from it? Wherever there is Shiva, there is Shakti. They are always together. It is the same Shiva again and again, and the same Shakti too, no escape."
Poor mother.
People do not understand how much the Master suffered for their sake. All those austerities, did he need them for himself? Still, he performed them for people's welfare. Can they themselves practice spiritual disciplines? Where is the power, the vigor? That is why the Master did all that. Do you know that song? Which one? Asked Ashu. Behold, the Lord of the slowly has come for the lowly. Really, my children are beggars. Can he remain still if they call on the mother? At once the Lord comes down. Is Chaitanya also God? Yes, yes, it is the same God. He comes down again and again. It is the same moon that shines night after night. No escape. He is in the clutches of his creatures. They are his own. Who will look after them if not he? He said, "Whenever you call on me, I shall appear before you. Remember this and never forget it."
All right, let's stop there
Okay.
and just ponder that.
Sure.
Whenever you call on me, I shall appear before you. It may not be at the first call. But I can tell you with every fiber of my being that if you persist, he will appear. So please repeat the last couple of paragraphs.
Sure. Okay. People do not understand how much the Master suffered for their sake. All those austerities. Did he need them for himself? Still, he performed them for people's welfare. can they themselves practice spiritual disciplines? Where is the power, the vigor? That is why the master did all that. Do you know that song? Which one? Asked Ashu. Behold, the Lord of the lowly has come for the lowly. Really, my children are beggars. Can he remain still if they call on the mother? At once the Lord comes down. Is Chaitanya also God? Yes, yes, it is the same God. He comes down again and again. It is the same moon that shines night after night. No escape. He is in the clutches of his creatures. They are his own. Who will look after them if not he? He said, whenever you call on me, I shall appear before you. Remember this and never forget it. If you call on him, you will realize him. He is the wish-fulfilling tree. One more time, I'll read that for Brother Shankara. He said, whenever you call on me, I shall appear before you. Remember this and never forget it. If you call on him, you will realize him. He is the wish-fulfilling tree. I know only my mother. It is the master who taught the name of mother. Did people know before that God is mother? It is her creation. She gives birth to all beings and again swallows them. To swallow means to give liberation. It is all her sport, her play. Brahmachari Bimal, later Swami Dayananda, was the regular worshipper in Udbodhan house. One day after the worship, he went to bow down to the mother. She pointed to the pictures of Kali and the master, then pointed to herself and remarked, all three are one.
So repeat that, please.
Yes, Brahmachari Bimal, later Swami Dayananda, was the regular worshipper in Udbodhan house. One day after the worship, he went to bow down to the mother. She pointed to the pictures of Kali and the master, then pointed to herself and remarked, all three are one.
All three are one. We see in this dream of manyness,
Yes.
we see the master, the mother, Kali. If we believe the mother, we will come to know what she says. If we believe her and cry with our hearts, Mother, show me the truth of this. Okay, dear.
Sure, Brother Shankara. In 1896, during Durga Puja, Holy Mother was staying on the third floor of a rented house in Bagh Bazaar. Its first floor was a turmeric warehouse, and the second floor was occupied by Holy Mother's male attendants. Kumud Bandhu Sen recalled, during Durga Puja, the monks and devotees bowed down to Holy Mother and offered flowers at her feet. On Ashtami, the second day of worship, while we were waiting on the second floor, M. Mahendranath Gupta arrived.
He was the one who prepared the Katamrita, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. He's the one who visited the master over that 4 or 5 year period and recorded all of the conversations that he had with the master and that he heard the master have with others. And that's how we have the gospel. That's who this M is, for those of you who don't know. Okay.
Golapma called out, "Those who want to see the mother, please come." One by one, we went upstairs with flowers and offered them at her feet. But M. Mahendranath Gupta remained on the second floor. I asked, "Master Mahashay, will you not go to see the mother?" Smiling, he replied, "I have already seen her." Surprised, I said, "Well, you have come just now. When did you see her?" He replied softly, "In the Siddheshwari Kali temple in Bagbazar." Mother did not go there. "I've been here since yesterday." M again said, "I've seen her there." He then began to sing. Can one be joyless if one's mother is blissful? The Divine Mother keeps her child in bliss in this world and the next. The blissful Mother Tara ever fills the mind with bliss. Oh, Mother, I pray, may my mind be attached to your blessed feet. That's the end of that side heading. We're going into manifestation as a Devi. We still have some time, Brother Shankara.
Yeah, I see that. But I want to remark,
Sure.
M was not being metaphorical.
Yeah.
He wasn't meaning that he saw the image of the Siddheshwari. He means he saw Mother there.
Exactly.
This is just another manifestation of her divinity. The divine being can, of course, be in more than one place at once. So read that over from M not going upstairs.
Okay, let me just go back. During Durga Puja, the monks and devotees bowed down to Holy Mother and offered flowers at her feet. One Ashtami, the second day of worship, while we were waiting on the second floor, M. Mahendranath Gupta arrived. Golapma called out, "Those who want to see the mother, please come." One by one, we went upstairs with flowers and offered them at her feet. But M remained on the second floor. I asked, "Master Mahashay, will you not go to see the mother?" Smiling, he replied, "I have already seen her." Surprised, I said, "Well, you have come just now. When did you see her?" He replied softly, "In the Siddheshwari Kali temple in Bagbazar." Mother did not go there. "I've been here since yesterday." M again said, "I have seen her there." He then began to sing. Can one be joyless if one's mother is blissful? The Divine Mother keeps her child in bliss in this world and the next. The blissful Mother Tara ever fills the mind with bliss. Oh, Mother, I pray, may my mind be attached to your blessed feet.
Yeah, this is an interesting little side fact. When M came to Sri Ramakrishna, he'd had an English education and English social training. He was the principal of a school. He was well off in relative terms of the time. But because of his social training, the spontaneous singing and dancing that happened around the master so much of the time, M wouldn't participate. It just made him too uncomfortable to do something demonstrative publicly. And the master teased him about it. The master at times would make him get up and dance, or at least stand with the dancers. Finally, all that broke, and M began toward the end, before the master went to Kashipur, while they were still at Dakshineshwar. M was participating in the dancing and the singing. And this is an example of him just freely in that moment, just singing a hymn, not for any reason, not to impress anyone, but simply because his heart was full and it overflowed into the words of the song. As Swami Swahananda used to tell us over and over, the only true measure of spiritual progress is change in behavior. So as we do our practices, it's good just to watch ourselves, be the witness, and allow ourselves to be moved by what is arising in us, and let that become action. Not just a thought, not just a feeling, but let it move from the organs of perception and thinking, the mind and the organs of perception, into the organs of action. Any comments or questions about that particular principle? Okay,
Thank you.
please go ahead, dear.
Next paragraph, manifestation as a Devi. Some of Holy Mother's disciples and devotees saw in her different forms of the Divine Mother, including Bagala, Kali, Jagadatri, Sita, Radha, and so on. She took those forms out of compassion or out of necessity, never to demonstrate her power. The contrast between Ramakrishna's and Holy Mother's manifestation of divinity is that the master could not suppress his samadhi or control how he revealed himself in various divine forms, whereas the mother had full control.
Now, please read that over. This is so interesting.
Sure. Some of Holy Mother's disciples and devotees saw in her different forms of the Divine Mother, including Bagala, Kali, Jagadatri, Sita, Radha, and so on. She took those forms out of compassion or out of necessity, never to demonstrate her power. The contrast between Ramakrishna's and Holy Mother's manifestation of divinity is that the master could not suppress his samadhi or control how he revealed himself in various divine forms, whereas the mother had full control.
Now, the master himself said the reason he could not control these things is, he says, I do as the mother makes me do. I am the machine, she is the operator. Something to take into our manana.
That's right.
Okay, please.
In this connection, Swami Premananda wrote in a letter, the master was endowed with the power of knowledge, and we witnessed many times his ecstasy and samadhi. But what of the mother? She held these powers suppressed within herself. What superhuman power she had. In this section, we shall reproduce a few eyewitness accounts of Holy Mother's divinity. Manoranjan Chaudhary of Noakhali, now in Bangladesh, was very devoted to Mother Kali. He read the first part of Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in Bengali by M, and then came to Calcutta. He first visited Dakshineshwar and Belur Math, and then met M, who suggested that he go to Jairambati to meet Holy Mother. Manoranjan took the train for Vishnupur and then went to Jairambati. He was overwhelmed with joy and asked for the mother's grace. The next morning, the mother was waiting for him after she finished her worship. Manoranjan reminisced. As soon as I arrived, the mother asked, "Do you want initiation?" I replied, "Mother, I know nothing about it. Do as you wish." Pointing to the Punyapukur, the mother said, "Go have a bath in that pond and then come back." I hurriedly dipped in the pond and returned to the mother. M had told me to bring a thin red bordered cloth, 1 rupee, and a few hibiscus flowers, which I presented to the mother. The mother initiated me with a mantra and taught me how to repeat it on her own fingers. Pointing to the picture of the master, she said, "He is your Ishta, your chosen deity." After initiation, I bowed down to the mother. When I raised my head, I did not see her. Instead, I distinctly saw Mother Kali seated in place of Holy Mother. Wow. Once again, I fell at her feet and then lost outer consciousness.
Let's just stop there a moment and just
Amazing.
let that rest with us.
Sure.
He comes to her. M knows what's going to happen and has told him to bring this particular kind of cloth to wear, a rupee and some hibiscus flowers, which of course are what you offer to the one who's going to initiate you. But he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know why M had told him to bring those things. I was wrong. The cloth was not for him to wear. The cloth was to give to Mother. It was the thin red bordered kind of sari that she wore. In any event, it was his devotion, which was raised in him by reading the Kathamrita, the Gospel, that brought all this about. Any comments or questions from anyone? All right.
Can I read this one more time, Brother Shankar, that paragraph?
Sure.
We only have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Manoranjan reminisced. As soon as I arrived, the mother asked, "Do you want initiation?" I replied, "Mother, I know nothing about it. Do as you wish." Pointing to the Punyapakur, the mother said, go have a bath in that pond and then come back." I hurriedly dipped in the pond and returned to the mother. M had told me to bring a thin red bordered cloth, 1 rupee, and a few hibiscus flowers, which I presented to the mother. The mother initiated me with a mantra and taught me how to repeat it on her own fingers. Pointing to the picture of the master, she said, "He is your Ishta, your chosen deity." After initiation, I bowed down to the mother. When I raised my head, I did not see her. Instead, I distinctly saw Mother Kali seated in place of Holy Mother.
Remember, it starts this little story about this man by saying that he was devoted to Mother Kali.
Yeah. Once again, I fell at her feet and then lost outer consciousness. Do you want me to read further, Brother Shankara, or leave it there?
No, we'll leave it there.
Okay, I'll make a mark.
So any final thoughts or questions or comments from anyone? Well, yeah, go ahead, Aaron, please.
I get really tickled about thinking of the master teasing M.
Yes. Yeah. He did indeed tease him. You know, yeah. And it was very sweet, good-natured teasing. It wasn't harsh. It wasn't a Zen teacher's teasing. It was the master's loving behavior. Anything else from anyone?
Yeah, Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
when the master said that I'm just the machine, she's the operator, I assume he was talking about the human manifestation, or was he talking about his?
He said toward the end of his life, pointing to his own body, he said, "There are two here, the mother and her worshiper." By the mother, he meant Kali. By the worshiper, he meant Vishnu. He who was Rama, he who was Krishna, is present here as Ramakrishna, who appeared as Rama, as Krishna, Vishnu. They are incarnations. The story of the master's birth is that Vishnu appeared to his father, Khudiram, when Khudiram was on pilgrimage in Gaya, and said, "I'm going to be born as your son." So when the master was speaking of his body, he spoke of it as a pillowcase. So yes, he meant the actions of his body were directed by the mother, but it was more profound than that. That the mother was actually, he said over and over, "I say what she tells me to say." If you want to read about this, go to page 132 of the Gospel, chapter 5, about the master going on a steamer trip with Keshav Sen and some of Keshav Sen's followers. As they're boarding the steamship, Sri Ramakrishna says aloud, he murmurs it, but it's overheard by him, What shall I tell them? They are so hedged about. And then he went into samadhi. When he came out of the samadhi, he knew what to say and said it, if you read that chapter, so very eloquently. Now, his assertion was that it was the mother who told him what to say. And later, Swami Vivekananda would say that it was the mother, speaking through Sri Ramakrishna, who told him what to say. That he would have these conversations at night. He would say, I have this class the next day, I don't know what to say. Well, that night, he would have a conversation and would be told what to say. And of course, he had a perfect memory, Vivekananda. So he would be told and he would remember. When he was at Thousand Island Park, Mrs. Dutcher, the woman who owned the place where they stayed, had added a wing for the Swami with 3 floors. The third floor was his bedroom. Now, Mrs. Dutcher was in the habit of going around to every bit of the house at night, making sure it was all closed up and secure. And night after night, she would hear Swamiji talking in his room. But she knew the other guests, there was nobody of the other guests in his room. So finally she asked him, Swamiji, who are you talking to? And Swamiji didn't answer her directly. He didn't fib to her, but he just kind of dissimulated about it. He didn't answer her directly, but it came out later. All of us have the ability to feel the living presence of the divine within us. Swami Prabhavananda said, your chosen ideal, the chosen ideal, is you yourself, no different. Learn to feel that living presence. The chosen ideal is you yourself, no different. Learn to feel that living presence. We only seem to be the people that we appear to be on the screen. There's a reason for it. It is the intentions of Atman, as Krishna explains in the Gita. There's no 2 ways about it. And so each of us is unique. Each of us is the divine having a human experience. We are the infinite dreamer having finite dreams. But nevertheless, it is that one within us. So Sri Ramakrishna was not unique. He was, of course, unique in his way. But I mean, he wasn't extraordinary in that way. We all are. We all have that divine being dwelling within us. It's described in the scriptures in various ways. But Sri Ramakrishna was very explicit that he knew who and what it was that lived within him. Anything else from anyone? All right, dears. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from this realm of endless noise and relentless confusion to thine abode of silence, serenity, clarity, and peace. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of thy wisdom and love. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through, light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. May we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Any final thought from anyone? All right, dears. Of course, tomorrow evening we'll study Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. On Saturday, we will continue our reading and discussion of Swami Prabhavananda's translation and commentary of Patanjali called How to Know God. And this coming Sunday, the title of the talk is, we start this month, February, is a Bhakti month. So it's the title of the first talk of the month, which is on the 6th, is Lovest Thou Me? Lovest Thou Me? So anything else from anyone before we close? All right, dears. Good night to you all. Until next time. Haima, thanks for making the arrangements to be the reader.
Good night.
Sure, Brother Shankara, I'm honored. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Good
Right.
night,
Good
everyone.
night. Namaste.
Good night.
Good night.